Well, hey, how are you all doing? Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. This is going to be kind of a follow-up on the one that I just did earlier about the dystopian messages in our schools. And I want to talk about the dystopian world that lies ahead of us. Give a couple of thoughts. I'm going to read you a few things out of the United Nations upcoming, what do they call it? Summit of the Future. Uh, give you some warning about what's coming, give you a few thoughts on what you might want to do, how you might want to think about this, and then after I'm done with this, I'm going to do a separate one for for the Patreon channel on some lessons from organized crime, from the mafia, if you want to call it that, or other groups, how they dealt with living under oppression. In the past, I've taken some shots from people because I've been making videos for several years about the lessons of living under oppression, and I'd get people come on and say, I'm not going to live under oppression. I'm gonna, because those are the ones that say they're going to fight it out on their doorstep, which is a ridiculous idea. If you want to do that, that's fine, but it's a it's a response that is guaranteed to bring no results, and most of us want to have some results. So I'm going to be talking about that over there. I don't talk about mob stuff here on this channel. I know Michael Francis does, and Sammy the Bull does, and a lot of other people do. I don't. I come at it from a different perspective than they do, and that's just what I've decided to do. I don't put this out there. I keep it within a little more distinct group of the people who have, well, that's it. That's the gate. That's the gatekeeper. That's the cover charge. It shows me that people are a little more serious, because when I let too much stuff on YouTube, when I go into certain things, I just get too many silly, answers from people who saw the, Casino or Goodfellas or something like that. I'll give you a little hint right now. Godfather 2, both good movies. Goodfellas, horrible movie. Casino, horrible movie. As a matter of fact, no, I won't even say that. Anyway, we're going to get to this, and also I'll make an announcement later on in the video about the date for the summer Integrative Preparedness / Stonemont get-together has been set. It's July 13th. In the Kansas City area, and there's a way to sign up for that. No, it doesn't cost anything except your gas to get here. It's a bunch of people that decided they wanted to get together and meet each other and meet me, and I want to meet them, and we'll grill some hamburgers out at a very nice park and spend the day chatting and getting to, I think it's going to be a really good time. I'll talk more about that at the end of this video. So, what I want to talk about here is the United Nations Summit of the Future. A lot of people knew what was coming along with the United Nations way back soon after it was formed. They saw that what we are seeing now, a one world government type of situation, they saw that. Matter of fact, I've told this story before. We were down visiting some of my aunts. We took a family trip back in it was probably the very early 60s, down to visit some of our aunts in Texas. And I forget whether this was Lubbock or San Angelo, but it was one of them. And after church, we went to a diner, our restaurant, and it was one of those places. Do you remember the places that used to have the paper placemats right in front of them? And so we sat down, and this is a place that had a placemat with the flags of countries of the world all around it, So we were looking at it. Oh, of course, the first thing back then, at least, the first thing you did is you look for the flag, our flag, the flag of the United States, right? And then you might look at some others and say, and those, how unusual they were. Well, all of a sudden, my aunt stands up. My aunt was a ramrod. She was an officer in the, I don't know, Navy or Marines or something during World War II. And she stands up. She was a nurse. That's why she was an officer. Bolt straight and says, "We are leaving." And And she was the kind that, well, nobody really questioned her. And, we were guests. My dad was there, but she was his aunt, so he wasn't going to tell her to sit down. Well, so we troop on out like a mother duck and her ducklings. And we finally get out there, and everybody's thinking, what in the world is going on? She says there was a flag of the United Nations on that at the top center of that placemat. She says, we are not eating there. She knew what was coming. Well, I want to tell you something about what is coming. This September, the United Nations is having what they're calling the Summit of the Future. Okay, I'm going to read you a few things here, and then we'll talk about a couple of things. The purpose. The purpose is to strengthen international cooperation so it delivers fully and fairly on existing agreements while enabling us, the UN, to respond effectively to new threats and opportunities for present and future generations. What a bunch of bull gobbledygook that is, right? In doing so, restore trust in multilateralism and in each other. Well, that's the kind of pablum that just appeals to the bureaucrat, isn't it? And the little lemmings that follow along behind. Okay, the impact of this. I'm going to skip over a lot. I will include this, as I always do, for those of you who may not be with us on Patreon yet. The link is down below. Whenever I do a video on YouTube, I also put it on the Patreon channel, and then I will put links to whatever I have referred from, articles or whatever like this. Okay, accelerating the SDGs. You guys know what SDGs are? Well, we will get to that in a minute. The proposals in our common agenda, they say, aim to turbocharge the 2030 agenda. The specific ideas from the report are suggested for consideration at the Summit of the Future, focus on the how of global cooperation to in turn enable us to deliver on the what by A, getting the SDGs back on track, B, responding to new opportunities and challenges. You know what that means, right? And how the proposals accelerate implementation of each goal. The impact. Safeguarding the future. Don't worry, I'm not going to read everything. I'm just going to read some highlights. Safeguarding the future. Decision-making at global level consciously avoids foreseeable harms to and safeguards the interests of future generations through an envoy, in bold, to represent them, a political declaration, bold, as part of the pact for the future. This is all coming to form a pact for the future. Okay. Did I tell you? Okay, I forgot to tell you what SDG stands for. It is for Sustainable Developmental Goals. Okay, that's it. So, political declaration with clear commitments, in bold, dedicated intergovernmental forum to debate progress and better use of, bold, foresight, data, and science to evaluate the future impact of policies and actions. Present generations also benefit from this longer-term thinking. Okay, managing global shocks. International responses to complex global shocks of significant scale are improved through standing authority, in bold, of the Secretary General to convene a time-bound emergency platform that would add value through high-level multi-sectoral coordination, advocacy, and accountability for the contributors of participating actors. This would not displace or duplicate existing mechanisms. Doesn't it make you just want to puke listening to this kind of drivel? Now, here we go. Meaningful inclusion of young people. Youth participation. You know how the commies always like to start with the youth, right? Because at least some of the older generations are smart enough not to fall for their BS, but the kids, get the kids and you've got the future. So youth participation and consequently trust, right? They're going to make the youth trust them. In decision making is expanded and strengthened through dedicated, in bold, national youth consultative bodies, a global standard for meaningful youth engagement, a framework to track progress, avenues for youth participation in UN decision-making processes, and a standing UN Youth Town Hall. Now listen, I just want to repeat a few of those words. Youth participation in UN decision-making processes. Sure, we want the kids deciding what's going on in the world, right? And this is nothing, but it's a way for them to get most of the kids, most of the youth, anyway, the ones that they can reach, and they're not reaching mine, to fall for their commie BS and feel as if they're a part of the future, right? And they're a part of the decision-making process. So a lot of the kids are going to go along thinking they're being very important, but it's also going to allow these people to identify who are the real leaders in this bunch. And we're going to take those leaders, we're going to identify and bring those leaders out. And they will be our leaders of tomorrow. Okay, measuring what we value. We measure what really matters for sustainable development impact, progress, and resource allocation based on a set of critical metrics that complement GDP to cover what is needed for prosperity, human well-being, and protecting our natural environment. This is achieved through a political commitment to value what counts, in bold, value what counts, accompanied by a dashboard of key indicators and support to countries on related statistical and data capacities. Okay, now here is one that I just love. This is great. As I skim through these earlier, open, free, and secure digital future. We harness the opportunities and manage the risks of digital technologies by adopting a compact as part of the Pact for the Future that outlines a vision of an open, free, and secure digital future for all, anchored, in bold, in global cooperation for human development and SDG progress, human rights, and now get this, governance by humans for humans. What are the alternatives? Well, AI, I suppose. The Compact offers a digital governance framework to guide global, regional, and national approaches around shared principles, priorities, and objectives such as accelerating digital connectivity for all, building digital public infrastructures, strengthening public regulatory capacities, and nurturing AI governance. I knew that was coming. AI governance, yes. Now, what does that mean? They're trying to make it sound like, well, we're going to make sure that we are governing AI. Well, you know what they're going to do. They want to develop AI so that they can control AI, but AI governs us, right? Yes, of course. Let's see, where did I lay out? Yeah. It promotes sustained multi-stakeholder dialogue and cooperation. You know, when I first started hearing that idiotic term stakeholder, I knew the change was here. And every little bureaucrat who loves the use of that word stakeholder, who comes up with this stuff? It's always, you remember, it was the guy who was the president of the stamp club, right? In high school. Apologies to any of you who might have been president of the stamp club. But this is a kind of doublespeak that makes, people feel good and important when they use it. Dialogue and cooperation via existing forums, an annual digital cooperation forum, and a new AI body to align artificial intelligence with human rights, the rule of law, and the common good. Okay, everything by commies is talked about under the umbrella of a common good, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I'm just going to tell you what the latter ones are. A global financial system that works for all. Okay? A transformed international financial architecture is fit for purpose, more inclusive, just, representative, effective, and resilient, responsive to the world today rather than it has looked following the Second World War. Yeah, yeah. This architecture, I love that term too. This architecture invests upfront in SDGs, climate action, and future generations. There's a lot more to that segment. You can read it over on, if you want to, sharing the benefits of space, the benefits associated with the rapid growth of outer space activities. Realize that the UN is made up mostly of countries who can barely get their people from one crap hole to another, let alone into space, right? But these are the ones who are, telling the rest of the world, telling us who, what we need to be doing, right? Right? I mean, they still have people walking with jars on their head 30 miles to get some water that a cow's pissed in, but they're going to tell us how to what we should be doing in space. So space activities are harnessed in the most inclusive way. Whoa. Okay. DEI astronauts. I don't know why all the landings are screwed up, sir. I don't know why we keep having all these things blow up on the launch pad. I don't know. We have the most diverse group around, right? What could go wrong? Ooh, my gracious. A regime or frameworks for space sustainability covering space traffic management, resource activities, and debris removal. Okay, that's going to be the next big thing. You guys want to get on the ground floor, get in, just like trash removal, right? Space debris removal. Okay, let's go back. I'm not going to read all that. You all can read it if you want. A new agenda for peace. Woo, there we go. A new agenda for peace. We're all for peace, right? Our collective security system can better prevent our collective security system. You know what that means. Bunch of thugs in blue helmets going around raping everybody in third world countries, cities, right? Yeah, right. Coming to a town near you. A collective security system can better prevent, manage, and resolve conflicts in both traditional and new domains, guided by principles of trust, solidarity, and universality. Well, we see what a bang-up job they're doing now, right? I mean, there's peace all over the world. Peace is breaking out everywhere, isn't it? I mean, the peace in Ukraine, the peace in Israel. Gee, many Chris, how can you have more peace than that? Thanks to the UN, right? Isn't it amazing? I mean, they're even worse than weathermen. You know how we say that weathermen can be wrong half the time or more, and are still seen as successes? These people can never do anything right, and still feel that they can come out and tell everybody else how to live. And the thing is, half of the world, well, most of the world, half of the Americans seem to agree. That's our problem, right? Oh, an updated approach to peace operations and peace enforcement. To prevent the weaponization of emerging domains and promote responsible innovation, e.g., in cyberspace, outer space, lethal autonomous weapons, AI, and biorisks. A stronger collective security machinery includes a reformed Security Council, a revitalized General Assembly, and an enhanced peacekeeping commission. A revitalized General Assembly? What do you mean? Well, it probably means we want to cut up some of the countries over there, the third world countries, and thereby increase the number of countries who can send representatives to the UN, coming through in their moo-moos and not wearing shoes, making decisions about space for us, right? Okay. Transforming education. A new vision for the creation of learning societies emerges. Learning societies. You know what that means. People who are illiterate. Learning societies, right? Learning. Be a lifelong learner. Are you a teacher or are you a learner? Universally recognized as global public... A new vision for the creation of learning societies emerges with education and lifelong learning universally recognized as a global public good. This makes me want to puke. I mean, and not just the danger of it, but the stupidity of it. I mean, you've probably sat around. I don't know if you have or not. Maybe you've sat around meetings where you have all these people, all these room temperature IQs sitting around a table, saying things, and just sure they're the most brilliant person in the world. I mean, and because the rest of them also are room temperature, they're all going, yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, I'm on board with that. Integrity and information. Well, whatever. And then the UN 2.0. The UN system is better able to support member states, including on the above changes through cultural and skills transformation in UN system entities. UN 2.0 is about upgraded expertise in innovation, data, digital foresight, and behavioral science to enhance UN system results, help build similar member state expertise, and accelerate shared progress towards the SDGs. These developments might be acknowledged in the Pact for the Future. Okay, I'll post that so you can read the whole thing and you can share it with anybody who you think can survive it. What of course this means? Well, first thing, it's going to create a lot more jobs. And so more people get offices, more people get parking passes for the UN building, more people get to travel on private jets, more people get more slush fund money coming into them. So it's a money game. It's a money and a power game, and they are going to try to do this. So this is the hope for the future from the UN. Now, what do we do about it? I'm just going to express a couple of feelings here. Can you protect yourself from it? Well, that depends. That depends, to be honest. It depends on you. It depends on your creativity. It depends on your imagination. It depends on your resources. It depends on how much you want to. Now, I'm going to give some specifics. I'm not going to give them here. And so, some people will say, that's just a way to suck us over to Patreon. Hey, you don't want to pay $1 to hear it? Don't. Okay, I don't care. But I talk about over there. I'm going to talk about organized crime, and I'm going to talk about the IRA, the Irish Republican Army, and stuff like that. Those are topics I reserve for there. Those are things I know about that most of you, and I don't mean you, that most people out there don't. And I have a specific and a very a certain understanding of them, and I don't share them with the world, and that's my right. Nobody has a right to know what I think. Okay, nobody has a right to know what I know. If you want to, there's a way to do it. But here's the thing. I'll give you a couple of basics. You're not going to win against this in a head-up fight. I know there's some people who think I'm never buckling under. I'm going to stand in my black t-shirt on my doorstep and I'm not giving up. I'm fighting a good fight. Those are usually the first people who collapse. Fold like a cheap suit, like they say, right? First person, usually the loudest, as there's an old saying, the empty vessel makes the most noise when struck. So you're not going to fight it. You have to. I'll give you this much here. You have to stay up on what's happening. You have to understand what's happening and understand how it's happening, how close it's getting, how it's affecting you, how it's affecting the current political climate. Yeah. And now, the extent that you want to be involved in that, here again, in the preparedness world, we just get too many people say, I've had it with politics. I'm not. Okay, well, okay. You're not going to help. The boat is sinking, but you're not going to pick up a bucket and help bail. You do you. But for those who actually, would like a future of some livability for themselves, their children, their grandchildren, future generations. We live the life we do right now, which is pretty darn good, because past generations worked to ensure that we could. And I'm amazed at how many people in the preparedness world have this doom and gloom idea that, well, I'm just not going to do anything. I'm gonna run off and I'm gonna hide with my rice and beans, and I'm not doing anything because the world is beyond redemption and Jesus is coming by Thursday and everything like that. I'm not making fun of Jesus. Those of you who have been with me know that I have very deep religious feel or faith feelings. I'm making fun of the people who have that idea, and if that offends you, I don't mean to, but you need to take a closer look at why you think the way you do and try to discover why you're wrong. Okay? There we go. If you want to hear my reasoning, come to the church channel, Stonemont Church. I'll tell you all about it. But you need to be involved. And then you need to be, or at least now I don't claim to be, technologically savvy enough to understand a lot of the tech. I get it, but I have people around me who are. Be savvy in technology. Technology is the preparedness for the future. Okay, if the future keeps going like it is, and it there's no reason to think that it won't, until we have the big CME like I write about in my books. Beyond that, you need to find out who around you is kind of on the same page as you, because people are going to be one of your most important resources. And if you understand that, you're well ahead of the game. If you don't understand that, you need to understand that. And here again, we'll get those that say, I don't like people, I hate people, you can't trust people. And I'm sorry that that's been your experience, that those are the kind of people that you've been around in your life. Those are not the only kind of people there are in the world, and you might want to go out and see and meet some other kind. If you keep meeting the wrong kind of person, you might think about what the common denominator is, because everybody is not alike. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it there. I've shared with you the threat. I'm gonna sign off here, and I'm going to make the one for Patreon, and I'll tell you how the organized crime does it, and some others. I'll talk to you later. I forgot to tell you about my books. I'll tell you about them next time. Talk to you later. Bye bye.